This time on the O2 Garage, things get a little bit noisy. So some of you may or may not know, this is my 1970s, late 70s CL Chrysler Valiant sedan. A little bit of backstory on this one. I actually bought it out of the north of Adelaide, out of a farm. It wasn't running very well, actually wasn't running at all. The motor was cactus, it was a dark blue colour, and it had 3 sets of rims inside. Over a period of probably, I reckon, about 4 or 5 years, I restored it. Gave it a paint job. That's a whole nother story, I won't bore you about that. And under the bonnet it has just a nice little mild 318 combo, bit of headwork, bit of cam work, set of pipes, Holly, little high-rise manifold, air cleaner sits through the bonnet as you can see, a couple of thermo fans at the front, big Falcon alternator. Nothing too special, just really reliable modifications. It's got a great soundtrack, that V8 Chrysler soundtrack. It is only a little 318. Right behind it, I've got a very small stall 727 trans, the real big strong trans, so I've got no problems about busting the trans. B&N shifter on top of that. The exhaust goes back to twin exhaust systems and then out through the back, and to the diff at the rear is a 2.9 2-pinion Valiant open wheeler diff. I do have a 2-pinion LSD, but it's clunking its brains off, so I don't want to destroy it. Anyway, cut a long story short, this guy here has served for a long time as our family transport, and you've seen it on and off on the O2 Garage, and now it's time to do some work on this one. We don't have any other project cars at the moment, and a little bit of cash up the sleeve, so we're going to get stuck into this. But not up the front, we're going to get stuck into the back. Let me explain. Right, so here's the rear end. He's got the big drums on the back. They're okay, there's nothing wrong with that. In the back end under there is the 2.99 geared 2-pinion peg leg diff. It's a piece of junk. I can't even do a burnout in this thing without fear of blowing the diff up, which I can't really afford to do because we need to use it as a cruiser. What I have got here is you can just see the one of the exhaust here, and there's a connector there. That's actually cracked and it's spilling exhaust gas out the back. It goes up across the top in a really cool, funky sort of custom style, heads out the back. And if you can see here, this has all been cut out at some stage by somebody, and as it comes under the back of the car here, it ends up at that exhaust pit tip right there. And you can see when you look at the car sideways, you can't actually see the exhaust tip coming down the back. I really like it because it makes the rear of the CL really smooth, and a lot of these things just look really big and cluttered. So I want to keep that look, but here's the other problem we have as well. Currently sitting under here, we have got some upgraded shock absorbers. We've got some Monroe gas risers. They're going to stay. But the fuel tank, I'm having problems with the sender in the fuel tank. So I'm going to have to fix that up. So what I'm going to do on this build part of the project is I'm going to pull the leaf springs out. I'm going to rebuild the hangers. I'm going to pull the diff out. I'm going to get rid of the rear exhaust. We're going to replace the exhaust, replace the mufflers, which is important to do, so then the exhaust system works properly. We're going to get the leaf springs cleaned up, get them back in. We're also then going to take the diff, the LSD we've got, and we're going to get that rebuilt and have a 4-pinion centre out of a late model EF Falcon or something like that put in. We'll keep the 25 spline axles, we'll do that, and we'll replace the stuff inside the tank, which means I literally, and I don't mind doing this, strip the entire underneath rear section of this car completely out. So where it's sitting now, in the middle of winter, is where it's going to stay for probably the next couple of months. But right now, I think we need to just strip it right out. Okay, so after some grunting and groaning and a bit of jiggery pokery, the first spring, as you can see, is currently out. And if we have a quick look at the spring eyes, gross, not good at all. And they all look like they're rounded out, and they'll even come out. Oh, there it's going to come out. Oh, that's a total nugget. So I'm just yanking out the tail shaft at the moment, and we rebuilt the uni joints. So that's okay, we don't have to fix anything up there. But I'm doing a little trick here, and I'll show you in a second. Whenever you take a uni joint out, you don't want to leave it so it can like fall apart. What you want to do is you want to put a little bit of sticky tape on it, a little bit of tape like this, and that just holds the caps of the unis in place. And by doing that, it saves them falling out and the bearings going everywhere. So apart from the brake line, the diff is ready to come out. Okay, come with me. I'm taking you under the back of the car. Here we go. So we can have a look here. You can see we've got our pump up shock absorbers sitting here, so that all looks pretty good. Here's the old exhaust system. There's tail shaft, lots of room, bits and pieces and stuff like that. But you can start to see that this is really starting to become not a happy camper. Have a look at that exhaust system. Come over here on this one over here and have a look at that. That's a mess. That's all cracked. That's all broken as well. It's not looking pretty good up here. I did also notice that there's actually a spot where the tail shaft is hitting the bottom of the floor here. So we might just need to radius this area out with maybe a hammer. And I also noticed as well up the back up here that the air shock line is actually rubbing through on the exhaust. So we're going to have to replace this. But right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to yank this entire exhaust system off, and that way we'll have a little bit more room. Let's do that. Let's do that. All right, so here we go. Here is the rear system off the back, and you can see that we had what looks to be like 2 high flow mufflers at some stage go into those weird old school press bend concertina bends. Have a look at that one there, all the way to the back. And at the back we have those little exhaust turn down cutoffs, a bit like a ski boat. During the course of the time I've owned it, I've put a couple of these plastic rubber things in here just to stop it from rattling. But have a look at the cracking on the edge of the outlet of that one there. And indeed, listen to this one. That one's stuffed, absolutely toast. Look at the front of that one. That one's absolutely hammered. But this bit here, have a look at that. I think it's fair to say that these exhaust systems have seen a better days, but they have been on the car for, well, I've had it for nearly 6 or 7 years now, probably 8 years. Before that, it could have been on for 10 years, so who knows? But it's time that we completely redo that whole back system. We'll keep the front mounts, but other than that, it's junk. Okay, time to make the bang bang. Close your ears. I think we did it right. I think it's okay. I'll just bang it a couple more times. Now, I've had a look at the fuel tank sender and it looks like there's a problem with that. So we'll have to pull that out and maybe put another float in it. But you'll notice also where the tail shaft is and the exhausts are coming out, there's no exhaust system on it. And we've gone about as far as we can in this episode of pulling stuff apart. So shall we try and start it up?
Yeah.
You want to hear what it sounds like without an exhaust?
Yeah.
All right, I do as well. I mean, it's got no compression. It's a 318. I'm making up excuses. You know what? Let's just start it. Let me know if there's flames that come out of it, all right?
All right.
I'm lucky there's nobody home next door.